So in this segment, we're going to be talking about Liz Truss setting out the new law on post-Brexit trade deal. So we still don't know what the specifics are of the legislation the British government is intending to bring out. She does put out some points about what the legislation aims to do, but we haven't got anything more than that. And it's quite frustrating reading through this because some of this is nonsense, some of this we could have had already, and some of this actually might happen. So very mixed on what she's proposed. So she says the government is clear that the proceeding with our legislation is consistent with our obligations under international law. We don't know if that's the case, and also the fact it looks like it's very much going to break international law, in my opinion at least, which is worth nothing. But Braverman won't publish her legal advice to Boris Johnson, and the Americans are very much under the belief that we are going to break international law with this. So again, who are you going to listen to? Probably not the British on this one. So she said the bill would propose green and red lanes for goods travelling between GB and Northern Ireland. And once again, we have to go back to the article by Tony Connolly, where he talks about how there was an agreement in place in December 2020. There could have been a trusted trader scheme, essentially a green lane, red lane system, however you want to define it. In June 21, however, the UK unilaterally extended this scheme. So within about 6 months, before it was even implemented, the UK unilaterally extended the scheme to companies that were only established in GB and changed various criteria so that more companies could use the scheme. According to the European Commission's roadmap, the UK was continuing to demand that the UK Trusted Trader Scheme, or the UKTS scheme, be extended to all traders in GB. And this is why the Trusted Trader Scheme, the Green Lane idea, failed. As regards to customs formalities, with the exception of parcels, the UK could accept that certain customs formalities have to apply and certain data elements be collected for goods not at risk to be imported into Northern Ireland by trusted traders. So essentially, they wanted data on what is being imported into Northern Ireland. The UK still hasn't come up with the data yet, and I don't think those IT systems even exist. But what you can see from this article from Connolly is that you can see that a trusted trader scheme could have worked. It could have happened, and then in June 2021, someone, probably Lord Frost, maybe, changed the scheme, and they wanted all GB traders to be classed as trusted traders. It wouldn't make any sense. So all UK exporters to Northern Ireland would face minimal checks. It just beggars belief that they come up with this nonsense. We could have had something decent, a trusted trader scheme, until the IT systems were set up anyways, but then we botched that one. Ensure goods moving and staying in the UK are freed of unnecessary bureaucracy if they're not destined for the EU. Again, how do you know what's staying inside the EU and what isn't? That's a key problem. How do you know? That's why you could have had green lanes. I can't even speak now. You could have had trusted traders, but you didn't. He goes, remove regulatory barriers to goods made to UK standards being sold in Northern Ireland. That's never going to work. They have to adhere to EU standards because Northern Ireland is in the EU single market for goods. That means they have to uphold to EU standards. That's a rubbish point. Allowing businesses to choose between UK and EU standards. This is dumb for different reasons. One is that if Northern Ireland manufacturers start adhering only to UK standards, if those items get leaked into the EU single market, we're going to have massive problems. Also, why would they use UK standards when they can export to Great Britain and also to the EU with no problem, just following EU standards and not using UK standards? It doesn't make any sense. And also, did I forget to mention Northern Ireland in the EU single market for goods? So obviously they have to uphold EU standards. Don't make sense. This is one where they might get something here, which is give the UK government power to decide on tax and spending policies across the whole of the UK. So obviously they're talking about Northern Ireland specifically here, about VAT, etc. That's something where they might get somewhere because, again, different EU member states have different VAT rates, but it's very weird we'd give over VAT for the EU to govern over. It doesn't make any sense. So yeah, I think honestly that the VAT thing is one they can get away with because it makes sense because some countries have 0% VAT on certain things. You can't really go lower than that unless you subsidise stuff. Address issues related to governance, bringing the protocol in line with international norms. That one I had no idea what that meant. Address issues related to governance. Are they talking about Stormont? I have no idea what that point meant. Elections in Northern Ireland's Assembly on the 5th of May resulted in a majority for politicians who accept the protocol, including the largest party, Sinn Féin. That's really important to mention. The party said the UK was letting the DUP hold society to ransom, which is true, that the DUP are holding the Stormont to ransom, essentially, the people of Northern Ireland. However, I've noticed Brandon Lewis has done some sneaky things. He's threatened the pay of MLAs if they don't go back to Stormont. That should only really apply to the party stopping Stormont from being opened. Also, he's passed an abortion bill in Northern Ireland. That will really annoy the DUP, because the DUP want to be like Great Britain when it suits them, and also not like Great Britain when it suits them. Very strange, the amount of devolved powers they have. In the statement on Tuesday, Šefčovič said, should the UK decide to move ahead with a bill disapplying constitutive elements of the protocols announced today, so this was on Tuesday, by the UK government, the EU will need to respond to all measures at its disposal, said Šefčovič, because this is more than just about trade, more than about customs and all this stuff. It's about an international agreement. And the simple fact is, if the UK are breaking an international agreement, the UK have to be punished for that, because that's how international law should work. If you're in breach of an international agreement, you should be punished. If you break a treaty with a country that, a treaty that we made all in fairness, you can't argue we're under duress and all this nonsense. We were meant to be a sovereign country. How can another country hold us under duress? It doesn't make any sense. If you went into a negotiation, into an agreement fairly, you shouldn't be able to back out of it just like this. It doesn't make sense. There's some analysis here from Helen Catt. What the Foreign Secretary is proposing would be big change. It would mean Northern Ireland operating under a dual system for trade in goods rather than following EU rules, which is important. That she's saying, some manufacturers would essentially adhere to British GB rules and some would adhere to EU rules. That would cause problems. The government argues that an ambitious plan is now needed to safeguard peace and democracy. Again, do they though? Because it'll go back to direct rule. And again, I make the point that Stormont's been closed since February. How important is Stormont in that sense? But again, Stormont deals with day-to-day issues, and there's a lot more support that needs to go to the people of Northern Ireland, which the DUP who claim they're democratic, who claim they support the people of Northern Ireland, simply won't help them. It's clear that many MPs are deeply unhappy with the idea of the UK now making one-sided changes and going back on international agreements. And of course, it's not as if we inherited this problem. The UK negotiated this deal. Boris Johnson didn't inherit this agreement. He made it. The government insists it's acting within the law. It has promised to set out its legal position, although it's very unlikely we'll ever see detailed legal advice behind it. And again, Suella Braverman's being very cagey on the advice she's actually given. Despite all this, nothing will actually change immediately. Legislation will take time to pass. Also, it's got to pass the House of Lords, which I can't imagine the House of Lords letting this one through. This one's an absolute stinker of a bill. And also, the House of Lords can delay it as well. That's something people forget. They can add amendments to really frustrate the House of Commons. But they can also, really drag down bills. Because let's not forget, if something is not in a manifesto, the House of Lords has a habit of blocking things that manifesto promises. The Northern Ireland Protocol was a part of the Tory manifesto. Scrapping it was not. So the House of Lords could justifiably block this. And even if they slow this thing down by a year, that's a long time. Significantly, neither the EU nor the UK has walked away from negotiations, and both sides say that's really how they want to settle this, via negotiations. That is what both sides are saying. The EU are saying, don't take unilateral action, keep talking, we'll figure something out. The UK are saying, okay, look, we're going to keep talking with you, but we're also going to set up the mechanisms for unilateral action. This very much feels like the way the Internal Market Bill went down, which in the end the UK didn't do it. I can't remember if the EU actually offered concessions around it, but yeah, I think maybe they stopped legal action. I need to do a video on the last time this has happened. Earlier, Marks and Spencer chairman and former Tory MP Archie Norman said the protocol was very, very onerous and cost businesses around £30 million, mainly because, for whatever reason, you have not sorted your supply chains out. We've talked about this a lot with M&S specifically because they've lost a lot of money. Surely, as a European-wide company, right? They have stores all across Europe. Surely, you should support your supply chains out. If you're still exporting goods from GB to Northern Ireland, what the hell are you doing, man? What the hell are you doing? I just don't get it. Any legislation to alter the protocol would have to be approved by Parliament in a process that could take months, which is also true, which doesn't really put Liz Truss in the strong negotiating position she wants to be in. Because it'll take too long. It'll take too long to get through Parliament. Also, the fact that summer recess is quite long as well. So if she doesn't get this thing up and running by June, when they go to recess, she's going to have a long summer of doing nothing. But with some of these companies, I genuinely don't get right. And if you have a lot more knowledge on trade, which you most likely do, please tell me in the comments. If you're a big company and you're exporting products from GB to NI, right? Why have you not moved your supply chains? Why do you guys think they haven't moved the supply chains by now? It doesn't make any sense. But anyways, look, I'm going to leave it there. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Support the channel on Patreon if you can. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one.